Hey y'all, and welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be looking at a chess game that I just played a couple, 30 minutes ago against a high-rated opponent in the first round of the Austin Chess Tour Finals, which is a tournament that I'm going to be doing for the next couple of days. Everyone there is around 100 points higher rated than me, and this game was one of my favorites because of a crazy move that I was able to set off later in the game. Either way, let's get into the chess. My opponent starts off the game with e4, and I go c5. This is the Sicilian defense, one of the most common ways of playing against e4. There's a bunch of theory that happens here after knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3. You don't have to know any of this. I'm not going to quiz you on it. And I decided to play the dragon, which is an opening that I've been playing a lot recently. This is the classical dragon. And the point is that I'm going to be playing bishop to g7. I'm going to be putting my bishop on this diagonal. I'm going to go here. And what black normally wants to do is black normally wants to either, one, play the move d5 in the future, or black wants to get the rook on c8 and have an attack on the white position after white castles long. My opponent goes, and it's a very, very tactical position. My opponent goes bishop to e3, all very standard. Bishop to g7, f3. The point of this move is to stop the move knight to g4. This is a common idea here to try and get the dark sword bishop. My opponent knows that since he is pretty good at chess. Castles queen d2. The idea is bishop to h6, trading off my dark sword bishop in some positions. Knight c6, not allowing that because I have tactics on the knight. Bishop to c4, stopping me from playing the move bishop to e6, so I can't play d5 immediately. I go bishop to d7. Long castles, rook to c8, bishop back to b3, so he's not caught in any tactic with the bishop hanging. Knight to e5, which is another common move. And my opponent spends his first bit of time in this position on move 11. By the way, if you're looking at the position saying, what is going on? It's +1. What are these people doing? Are they idiots? How is this theory? Well, the dragon is a bit odd in the fact that you don't really care about the engine. like the engine kind of doesn't really know what it's talking about here, since on a human level it's much more balanced than this. It's much more unclear. But if I'm playing all the top stockfish moves, my opponent's playing all the top stockfish moves, black is probably going to lose. And here one of the common ideas is what my opponent plays, which is the move h4 after a minute or so of thought. But the point being that my opponent immediately wants to play the move h5, sack the rook for the knight. Let's say I do something random, a6, move h5 comes immediately, knight takes h5, rook takes h5. Sorry. No, g4 is even stronger here, but as like a prerequisite, as like an example, my opponent can, in many cases, sacrifice the rook, play this move bishop to h6, try to trade off my, try to get my dark sword bishop, and go for a checkmating attack. This normally only works when the g file is open though, so this is why it doesn't really work here. But for example, knight takes h5, g4, knight to f6, you can already see how it's becoming a little bit too much for black to handle after, like, for example, position could get really bad very quickly. Bishop takes h6, queen takes h6. There's not really much to accomplish here because my opponent's just going to play the move like g5. This bishop is sniping, so this pawn is weak in all lines. And in reality, black is just losing here. So that's mainly why white wants to do this with this move h4, h5. And why I'm forced to play this move h5 to stop him. In any case, here is really the first point that I actually have to start thinking, and my opponent immediately plays a move that the engine hates. He plays the move g4, which at a lower depth, the engine was screaming at me that this position is like -1 for black, and black is doing really well here. But actually, it's not that simple because my opponent has a huge attack here, and I knew my theory. I still have theory in this position, and I knew that the move was h takes on g4. I knew this was the move, and this is what the engine says. But for some reason, I could not play this move. I could not play this move for any reason. I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified of this position after h5, and calculating over the board is a lot different from calculating like here and like in after analysis. And of course, I should have calculated farther. I should have realized that there was nothing here, and I kind of saw a ghost. But I was like, oh, what is going on here? Bishop to h6. This is terrifying. I don't even know what's going on. My opponent's going to like bring the queen in. I'm very scared. I can't play knight g6 because the pawn is pinned to my king. I'm going to lose this game. Oh no, I hate myself. And after a move like king to h7, bishop takes here, rook h1, I'm just like, what is going on? What is going on? But I'm winning. I'm just like completely winning. I just have like e6 at the very least. I stop queen g5. I have like something like this. I don't even have to play king g7. I can just play e6 immediately. Now there's no queen g5. I was still worried, but this is just losing. This is just losing. I can just play like something like this, and he has nothing. Might look like he has something, but he just has nothing. And black is just completely winning. I should have realized this. I should have realized this. This isn't like the hardest thing to see. In reality, I did see the move e6. I just didn't believe in it as much as I should have. And this is honestly the only mistake of this game, is not taking the pawn on g4, instead going for what I did, which is actually a huge mistake. I played the move knight to c4 after a good 5 or it was around 10 minutes of thought, I think. I was at like an hour 35 at this point, and I spent down to an hour 25. Of course, we have 30-second increment for each move played, so we started at an hour 30. And after knight to c4, I was like kind of hoping that I didn't miss anything, and I saw this line, which was like really irritating to me, but I thought like this was the only thing I could do, because I couldn't remember my theory. And it was after bishop takes c4, rook takes c4. I was scared of this move g5 and knight e8, and I was like worried about like some way of him like getting, actually not here, sorry, I was worried about this move e5. Yeah, this is what I was worried about. And the point is here, I thought he could go like knight db5, and I did not like see an answer to this, because he's threatening the move g5, right? And the bishop is pinned to the queen. And this is very, very scary. I was trying to think of like multiple like ways to defend myself. I looked at this move queen a5, which the engine says is -3. I don't even understand this move. It doesn't make any sense to me when this is -3. But I mean, in reality, I was genuinely terrified. I thought I was just gonna lose like material. I was ready to like sacrifice the rook for like nothing here. Like I was ready to go like. I was ready to go like rook c7 and just like accept like a losing position. But even here, g5, I lose the bishop. There's nothing to be done. I was very, very worried. Actually, even after this move e5, I was thinking about playing knight e8 and like just accepting this position, which didn't look like the worst thing for me. But in reality, this is awful. This is awful, and I just couldn't figure it out. The point is, actually, do you want to look at this? The point is, after knight bd5, queen a5. My opponent can't play this move g5 because of, it's just bishop takes b5, which for some reason just this didn't cross my mind. Like I didn't think this was a move that could be played. No, but I guess it just makes sense. I thought something like this, bishop takes f6. I'm just up 2 pawns here. Oh, okay, whatever. Yeah. All right. That was stupid of me, I guess, but for some reason I was terrified of e5, and luckily for me, he did not end up playing the move e5. He instead played a move that actually made me feel even worse about my position than e5. Actually, no, made me feel a little bit better about my position than e5, but still, I felt that I was just completely losing after this kind of crazy move, knight d5, and I just could not, for the life of me, understand what was going on in this position, because of course the threat here is that he wants to take, I'm going to take back, and then he wants to take on h5, he wants to open up this g file, and normally in these dragon positions, when your g file is opened, black is dead. Black is just dead. There's nothing left, because black is like 100% going to get checkmated. There's, for example, I just make a random move, just to show like how bad it can be when the g file is open. This is already +5 for white, because of something like rook hg1, king h7. My opponent can play like literally whatever, and just make it out of here life. Oh, sorry, not king h7, because king h7 would blunder into this move. I'll lose the rook. But like for example, king h8, something like bishop to f2, he's threatening queen h6, and it's over. I sacrifice the bishop, I lose. I can go here, I can checkmate it anyway. There's like nothing I can do. And if I put the bishop back on g7, I'm just going to get made with bishop to h6 in some crazy line. So I was really sweating here, and here is where I spent like the second like most amount of time in this game, and I thought down to around an hour 20. I think I spent like 5 minutes here. I thought down to like an hour 20, and it was all about like what I'm supposed to do. Sorry, no. Here's where I thought down to an hour 30. Here's where I thought down to an hour 20. This was the 10-minute, I think. And I was thinking about what I was supposed to do. I saw a couple of lines, like, if I take this pawn, I thought I was just, like, losing after h5. I just, like, really didn't like this position. I couldn't, like, for the life of me, like, understand what was going on here. I just thought I was just probably dead because the rooks are coming over here. I'm just getting toasted, you know. Engine always thinks 0-0-0, but I do not care what the engine thinks. And I thought of a couple interesting lines. I thought of this one line, which would have been cool if it had been played. This idea, knight takes d5, which I did play in the game actually, but for a different idea. And the point is, after e takes d5, I want to, like, I thought like I might like be able to like take this knight and like play some like crazy line, like in some variation. I would like let him take, and then I'll play bishop to f5, and I'd recapture with the bishop. My bishop would like save me, and I'd be okay. There was like an idea at some point that I wanted to play, like after this I wanted to play like queen a5 and like pick this up. Of course, after the queen, like he would play c3, I'd play queen a5. I'd come over here and I'd defend this from the other side of the board, which would have been so cool. But in all honesty, most of those were like stupid ideas, and the idea that I ended up going for was an idea like mostly based on miscalculation, which is bad, but it's actually one of the top engine lines. The point is, after knight takes on d5, pawn takes on d5, I play this move queen to b6, and I thought entirely that my opponent has to go here, and then I'm gonna play queen c7, and then I'm gonna double up here, and like you can't take this because there's like some ideas here, like bishop f5, and like look at this, and like he's getting destroyed. And I thought, oh, this is just really good, but I completely missed that my opponent is just gonna have like c3. He's just gonna have like this move c3 at some point, like in this line after knight b3, queen c7. I don't know, probably my opponent can just play c3 now. And yeah, that's actually just it. That's just the entire calculation. There's nothing here. I'm still getting like opened up over on the queen side, and I thought I was losing. I really did think I was losing. Like if I take this pawn, somehow I'm okay. I don't even understand that. I actually have no idea how I'm okay here. I feel like I'm just like getting opened up, getting like tonsil surgery, and getting absolutely destroyed in this position, but somehow I'm okay. No, I have no idea, but in the game I was terrified. In the game I was very scared of like this idea, but in all honesty, I thought he had to play knight b3, and I thought this was like my only chance to make something work. And then my opponent plays the move g takes h5. And I think here for 20 minutes, trying to find like a continuation. I think here down to an hour flat, and I'm desperately trying to find a move. I had like some idea. I was gonna play this move bishop to f5, and the point is, this is my idea from afar. I thought he couldn't do this because I played bishop to f5. The point is, he can't take because of checkmate, right? But if I put that on the board, you can see what happens here. This is losing. This isn't the move. I'm gonna let there's a move here. There's one move that actually saves me here. Only one move, and I'm very happy about this move. Please like be sure to like pause and like find it if you want to. If you don't, I'm gonna get to it in a second. Um, yeah, and I realized here that if I just do my normal thing, I was thinking about rook f c8. So it was another move that I was considering, rook f to c8. But then I was like, okay, just play c3. There's nothing to be done. Like, what am I supposed to do? I don't have anything. Now my bishop is even just blocked, so it doesn't even hit this side of the board. My original idea was that I was going to play this move, bishop to f5. My opponent was going to, I think he was going to play something like, I don't even remember. It was something kind of crazy. But in all, I forget what I thought he was gonna play. But I was like, okay, he's gonna take a move to defend this pawn that I'm attacking, and then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take on h5, and I'm gonna defend my king with like bishop to g6, and then like he has nothing on the g file. This is kind of what I was calculating, but then I realized it just doesn't work. He just plays c3. And he takes my bishop, and I lose. And I was sitting there, and I was like, oh, I'm going to lose again. Oh my god, what is going on? What have I done? I'm so bad at chess. Why do I even play this game? And then I realize that there's a move here. The move is rook takes c2 check, which is a pretty cool move. And the point is I calculated all three lines, all three ways of taking. The only way of taking that doesn't like obviously lose is taking with the king. But if we look at this like this, if you take with the knight, you get checkmated. It's over. It's pretty simple. You can't take with the knight. If you take with the queen, I thought I just played rook c8. You're gonna lose. I calculated this one line: knight to c6, queen takes e3, queen d2. Takes, b takes c6, and I thought here I was doing very well because I was just gonna like open up the position. I had two pieces for the rook. I was very happy with this position, and I probably should have been even more happy because it's -5, but I digress. It doesn't really matter. I thought that was probably what he had to do. In fact, actually what he has to do is just sack the queen and pray that I don't win. Not a good plan. In any case, the only move that I didn't fully calculate is the move that he played in the game, and I saw one line here. I saw after rook takes c2, king takes c2, I would play this move, bishop to f5 check. The only move, I thought he has to take with the knight, because if he doesn't take with the knight, if he goes king back to c8, I have a king back to c1, I go rook to c8, he's losing. And this is my calculation, and he's losing, because if he plays knight to c6, knight to c6, I thought that I could probably just play like queen a6 or something. The knight is going to be hanging on the next move. I'm going to win this pawn, and he's gonna lose. I have enough material for the rook. I'm going to win. The knight is pinned to the king, and I'm going to be taking on bc6 in a second, and then he's probably just going to get mated, right? See that on the board, like, okay, if he takes here, my opponent probably would go knight c6, and I thought that I could just play like queen a6, and I'd be winning. But actually, it's rook takes c6, which is kind of cool. Rook takes c6, and he's losing here. He's played queen to c3, and then he gets mated like this. And I didn't really see all that, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna find something when I get to this position. And the other line I calculated was after here, knight takes here, I thought I would have this check, my opponent would go here, I would have this check so then he couldn't run away, my opponent would go here, I would take the knight, and then I would figure something out because my opponent's king is on e4, and I'm happy here. And at least I have a draw. Actually, I was like really stupid. Like I saw like he would go here and he would like go back, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a draw, but like I'm just obviously winning after rook to c8, which is kind of funny. And then that happened. I was still like hell bent on making a draw. I still wanted to make a draw. I wasn't sure I was gonna win at all. I was still thought my position was losing. But after king takes c2, bishop to f5, knight takes f5, it's not a draw. It's not a draw in this position. Black is gonna win the game. Black is gonna win the game. queen takes b2, king d3, queen to b5. What I missed from afar, for some reason, I missed this in my calculus. I just didn't see that I had a rook to c8, which is just like the most obvious move ever. I don't even know how I missed this, but I mean, I would have found it over the board if we got into this position. My opponent instead decides to go with king to e4. I saw it around here that I had rook to c8. My opponent instead goes king to e4. I go, I think, for a little bit, try to see if I have any other things. I don't have anything else. I have to play g takes f5. My opponent, and I realize in this position, my opponent starts spending a lot of time. He starts spending like all of his time. He spends like 15 minutes or so. And I realize that I'm winning. I realize that I'm just winning. I'm just checkmating him. He has nothing in this position. He has simply nothing in this position. And I'm trying to calculate some stuff, and then I just like, wait, why am I calculating some stuff? He's going to calculate stuff. I don't need to calculate anything. I'm winning the game. My lines are pretty simple. He's the one who has to make something happen. And in all honesty, I have like an hour on the clock right at this point. He has like 50 minutes. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to walk away, and he's going to make a move, and then I'm going to win the game. And if he makes a move that I have to calculate, I'll calculate then. I don't need to do anything right now. And he ends up playing the easy move. He could have played this move king to f4, which is a little bit harder for me to like exploit. The point is, after bishop to e5, king here, there's this idea. I was looking at like f6, but I didn't know what happening like here after king g6. I didn't really know what was going on. Actually, it's queen e8. This is what's going on. King e8, queen e8, queen e5, queen d7, king e4, f5 here, here, and then he gets mated. I didn't really see all that, but I think I would have found it over the board. Maybe not f6. Maybe not f6. I was thinking about like bishop back to f6 and figuring something out. I didn't really know exactly what was going on here. And I thought this was like the most accurate line. Like, okay, if my opponent goes takes now, I can go queen d7, king g6, and actually just e6 ends the game on the spot. He has nothing here, which is very, very interesting. This is like the more hard line to play for black. But my opponent doesn't do that. My opponent simply takes on f5 and makes it easy, because I calculate this line. Queen to d7 check, king to e4, f5. If he goes back here, it's the same thing. If he goes back here, same thing. I go here, here, and here, and you have to sacrifice the queen. I'm going to win. So instead, my opponent goes king to f4. I go with the move bishop to e5 to not let the king out, not let him have any of these moves. My opponent has to go king to g5. And to finish off the game, at this point, it is okay to resign after my next move. E6. And it's simply over. My opponent just has nothing he can do. I'm threatening queen to g7 and with a checkmate threat. And my opponent decides to simply end the game like this. h6, stopping queen to g7, king to h7, go in for another checkmate with some queen e7, queen f7, queen g6 ideas. And after the move h5, my opponent allows me to checkmate in style with the move queen d8, checkmate. And this is one of the best games that I've played for in a while with it versus one of the strongest opponents that I've had. My first tournament after like 2 months or something crazy like that, and I get rook to c2 on the board here. That's like, oh my god, I'm really, really, really happy with this game. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys found this entertaining, instructive, all of the above. There are going to be more recaps for the next like 3 days, unless I get lazy. And yeah, that's it. I hope you found this instructive, entertaining, all of the above. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, don't let them these YouTubers tell you to. And yeah, that's it. Good evening and good night.